morning, everybody. We have a lot of information to cover today, so I'm going to give a financial update and a couple other updates, but then we're going to have Jeff Dickerson come up front. He's going to present our new parking policy that has been reviewed by the Administrative Services Committee and myself, and all of you will get a copy this week. I'll send it out with the memo tomorrow, and I'm sure Ron will be gracious enough to put it on racrep.org for us. And everywhere else that we have our policies available for you to refer to. Also, Susie's going to come up and give us some information on Anniversary Week. We have a big one this year, the big 3-0, and when that's going to take place. I don't think she's going to give away too many details yet until we have everything finalized, but just give you some anniversary updates. Also talk about some new ideas we have for some events. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Wind Down Monday. So hot topic, man. It's hot topic. We started Wind Down Mondays, and we used to call it Directors Mix and Mingle. It's had a few different names over the years, but it probably started 7 or 8 years ago. I've lost sort of all concept of time since the pandemic, but I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago. Because Monday night was a really busy night for dining services. And what would happen is that residents would, the majority of our residents like to eat at 5:15, right around there. So everybody would come down at 5 or 5:15, and you'd have to go on a wait. And so that's when we got that pager system. And for some of you longer tenured residents, remember, you'd go up to the hostess stand and you'd get your pager and you'd go out and sit in the atrium. And sometimes you'd have to wait 20, 25, 30 minutes until you could get a table, and everybody was just real angry about it. And so, sort of as a way to keep folks entertained, if you will, during those wait periods, we started the Wind Down Mondays. And we did those from 5 to 6 o'clock because that was our busiest time with people on waits in the atrium. Well, now that's not really an issue anymore because of our reservation system. So people know when they come down and they don't have to sit in the atrium and wait. I know some of you enjoy doing that, and we are still going to do Wind Down Mondays, maybe not every single week. We have some ideas to replace some of those Wind Down Monday events with some other things, and Susie's gonna talk about that when she comes up as well. And then Teresa's gonna come up and talk about a real special event we're planning for the month of April, partnering with one of our sister communities, and I think it's going to be pretty special. So I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'll let her tell you all about that. She's also going to give an update on staffing in our kitchen and in catering and the grill. And then what I'm going to do now is give a financial update. I'm going to give Mary a reprieve here. This is only her second town hall. So I'll give our financial update. Mary will take over the financial updates after today. But we just had our February financial call last Friday. And I will say in January, we did exceed our budgeted net operating income, which was a really good thing because we didn't have a great financial year from a net operating income standpoint in 2021 for a lot of reasons, mainly due to some pandemic restrictions that we thought were going to be gone when we did the budget for 2021, but just some other things that just were real challenging, some liability insurance claims that we had to pay and things like that. So January we had a really good month and we exceeded plan by about $20,000. We actually exceeded it by much more than that because we received a payment from the federal government under the CARES Act, and I don't know if you all remember the CARES Act. In 2020, we received about $1.2 million from the government. Essentially, it was to make up for the revenue we missed because of restrictions at Plaza West and not being able to admit people and generate the revenue we normally would. Well, in January of this year, we got an additional payment under that act of about $600,000, but we don't like to factor that in because that's not something we planned for. That's just sort of gravy, if you will. But even without that payment, we would have exceeded our net operating income in the month of January. In February, we weren't quite so lucky. We had a couple things happen that were out of our control. So every year we have to file a cost report with both Medicare and Medicaid. And in 2020 and 2021, unfortunately, our home office did not accrue some of those payments that we were going to have to pay to Medicare based on our cost report filings. So we took a hit of about $250,000 in the month of February. So we ended up missing our budgeted NOI by only $89,000. And when I say only $89,000, there's a little bit more noise in there that I'll explain. We also missed our innovative home services revenue by about $37,000, and that's what we used to call personalized living. And the good news is that we actually increased our revenue there month over month by $15,000. And our challenges in innovative home services have been having staff to provide the care to our residents that want those services. So Arlene, our new director, and Andrika, who are sitting here, over here, watching the meeting today, have done a really great job in recruiting, and we are slowly but surely hiring on additional staff members for them. So we're seeing some incremental progress in their business and revenue, so we're really excited about that. Our expenses were $224,000 under budget, but here's the but. We did not accrue for about $98,000 of contract labor. And when I talk about contract labor, I mean our direct care staff in assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. So in the month of February, we had about $140,000 of expense related to what we call agency nurses or caregivers for those product lines because of our open positions. So we're continuing to focus on recruiting and filling those vacant positions. We've done things like market wage adjustments and increasing shift differentials, things like that to attract employees. And we have been able to hire a few here and there. We haven't gotten the traction we really want to. So one of the things we're working on right now is hiring a dedicated nurse to do nothing but oversee new CNA classes, meaning we're just gonna have a nurse that's dedicated to training individuals that want to become CNAs and getting them through the classwork, the clinical piece of it, and then passing the exam. So we're hopeful that that's going to help us gain some traction in those open positions as well. The one good thing is where we struggled so much last year with our insurance expense, year to date, that's actually $140,000 favorable to budget. So we're seeing that sort of plateau, at least in the last 2 months, which is a good thing. You know, we always have some liability claims in process, and we reserve for those claims what we think might be paid out, but we're seeing sort of a favorable trend there, which we're all happy about. So we're really focused. The leadership team meets on a weekly basis, and we review all things related to the operation of the community. One of the most important things for us from a financial perspective is our occupancy. So we're super focused on getting sales in independent living to fill our vacant apartments, but also maintaining occupancy in our other product lines of assisted living and memory care and skilled nursing. And I think, you know, we're on the cusp of doing some great things this year. I have full confidence in the teams that we have to have some great success. So with that, I'm going to bring Jeff up. He's going to talk about parking on campus. Maybe. Oh, here he is.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to talk about the Freedom Plaza parking policy. If Steph can get it together.
Jeff, you stay. Good job.
Next slide, please. All right, so this vehicle policy is developed to provide you with some basic information about campus-wide parking and should be kept for future reference. The information in this policy is intended to provide a common basis of understanding and respect for everyone living and working at this community, right? All right. The following information applies to residents who own and operate a motor vehicle and a golf cart, or if you have both, it applies to you. First off, we have Golf View Terrace. All motor vehicles, golf carts must be parked in garages or in designated parking spaces located throughout GBT. This allows for traffic to be unimpeded and reduce the opportunity of accidents. So you can see I have a picture of the front door up here. A lot of times when we get emergency services comes, they park right there. And I know parking is kind of tight at GBT, but we got to keep these areas open just in case emergency services is called, which they're here pretty frequently, okay? And that includes parking out in front of your garage to kind of impede them from pulling in. Parking is not permitted in front of the main entrance to any GBT building. This allows for emergency vehicles, service vehicles to access the building without obstruction. Park only in designated areas for pickleball and tennis courts. Additional parking is located at the Plaza Club at GBT Community Center. And we do have several spaces out in front of the pickleball course and the golf course not the golf course, but the tennis course. And the Plaza Club, there's a huge parking lot over there. That's usually pretty free when they don't have events over there that overflow can park. Freedom Plaza parking. Resident vehicles must park in their assigned spaces, and we have the covered assigned areas out there, and those are where residents are supposed to park. Golf cart owners are strongly encouraged to park in golf cart storage area overnight to ensure safety and security while also having a dedicated power source for charging. This is like one of the main reasons why we ask you to park your golf cart. During the day, it's okay to park in the golf cart spaces out front, but during the evening, we would strongly encourage you to park in the golf cart parking because we do have outlets over there for you to charge your golf cart overnight. And I know some things have come up in the past where residents were wondering why they can't use the covered parking for vehicles to park their golf cart, simply because there's no way for you to charge your golf cart. So if you park there on a consistent basis and then you go to hop in your golf cart one day and it doesn't move, then I'm sure you're gonna come to one of us and ask us to help you move your golf cart over there so it can be charged. So that's the reason why we don't want you to park your golf cart in the covered parking for vehicles. Service vehicles must park in designated areas located outside doors 2, which are by doors 2 and 5 on both sides of the building. This is intended for service vehicles, USPS, UPS, FedEx, contractors who come in and do work. It's not intended for residents to park their vehicle there because they live on the side of the building and it's easier for them to access. This is why we have the parking up front, the 1-hour parking, and also the 15-minute parking up front for residents to drop off stuff or just come in for a little bit and then move their vehicle at a later time. And this has become a problem too, and especially on the weekends. Everybody uses those parking spaces there for service vehicles, so it's more convenient for them. And also the moving trucks, okay? If you look at the parking spaces, they're for like individual cars and stuff, but when moving trucks come in, they take up about 4 or 5 of those spaces. That's why we don't want anybody parking there but service vehicles. The front entrance is designated for drop-offs and pickups only. 1-hour resident parking and 15-minute parking are available for your convenience to load and unload. So we have that one designated space right there that's clearly marked that people still use for other things other than what its intended purpose is for, is the 15-minute parking for you to load and unload your vehicle. Residents are not permitted to switch parking spots with one another unless it is approved through the Administrative Services Department. So I know I gotten several questions in the past for people who wanted to switch. You can't necessarily do that because we have a manifest with everybody's name on there and where they actually park at, just in case we need to contact you all if there's an issue with your vehicle. Okay? The residency contract outlines requirements for parking spaces as follows. Provided you own and drive an automobile, possess a valid Florida driver's license, and have automobile insurance. residents no longer have a valid driver's license or no longer have an automobile will forfeit their parking space. Administrative services should be notified when any of these conditions are not met. And I know sometimes when I go through the parking lot, I see tags that are outdated, they haven't been renewed, and we sometimes contact you all to let you know your registration needs to be renewed and stuff like that. So if you do forfeit your automobile or whatever, we need to know about that so we can relinquish that spot from you and give it to somebody who might need it. Handicap parking is for short. Handicap parking is for short-term parking only, no long-term parking or overnight parking. Vehicle must possess a legal permit in the form of a handicap tag or placard that is clearly visible. And I know we have some problems with this in the past as well. We're really vigilant in trying to keep the handicap parking under control, solely for the purposes for handicap. You know, we can get a lot of vendors come in and guests that park there, and they say they only gonna park there for a short period of time, but we can't have that. We have to have those spaces accessible for people who are handicapped, so it makes it easier for them to come into the building. So, violators, these are their offenses. Your first offense, a courtesy phone call will be given to notify the resident of any vehicle or golf cart infractions, which we usually give a courtesy call to a resident and say, hey, you know, your vehicle's not supposed to be parked here. Can you come down and move it? Okay. Second offense, a non-aggressive, easy to peel. Notice I put easy to peel sticker up there, right? Because the green ones I had before were troublesome to get off the vehicle. So I found a new sticker that's easily peelable. And you can see I put one on my windshield and I peeled it off very easily. Will be placed on the vehicle. And this is just to let you know, it's like, hey, we called you once before, and we do keep track of this, okay? So we called you once before, and we notified you that you can't park there, so you park there again, so we're gonna put a sticker on your car, okay? Third offense, a boot will be placed on your vehicle with a $25 service fee to remove it. I have not had a chance to use the boot yet, but I'm dying to use it actually. Not on you guys though, but on some of these service vehicles that come here and some of the guests that come here that figure that they can park anywhere. The fourth offense is not up there. It's you're gonna be detained and you're gonna have to spend 24 hours with Susie Burt. That alone in itself would make you not want to park illegally. All right, so any questions? Yes, ma'am. The question was the car washing area, which is Sibby's area of responsibility, but I don't know the definite time now, but there is a time frame that there's going to be set up to reinstall all that stuff. I don't know personally when it's going to be, but they are going to put the vacuum over there and the air hose and the water over there for you to service your vehicle. And they're actually going to make like little parking spots so you can actually pull your vehicle in and wash it and stuff like that. So, like I said, I don't know the time frame. I don't know if Sibby's up here. Yes.
I have a question. It's in regards to handicap parking. I understand what you said, but generally, there's a lot of people here who are, I would say, handicapped. Why isn't there any specific parking overnight and forever for handicapped people?
I mean, it's difficult for people to get in and out of their spaces. They're tight. It's uncomfortable, if not dangerous. And why, I know you're probably in compliance with the, whatever department it is, but why hasn't that been addressed?
Believe it or not, the question is like, why don't we have like handicap parking, I guess in a centralized location for people to use?
Correct.
So, believe it or not, CB and I have been talking about this.
Good.
We actually walked the parking lot probably like a couple of weeks ago, and we looked at areas where we can have like designated more handicap parking. So we're working on it, we're still talking about it, but we're trying to come up with something.
Right, and in my opinion, if nothing else, there are people here who need that kind of assistance, and they should at least be closer to the doors, so when they do get out and have to come back in, they're not jeopardized by tripping, falling, an accident waiting to happen. And I see it all the time. There are those cement barriers in the parking lot, and so many people here have fallen and been injured, and if they weren't handicapped before, they're going to be handicapped now. And so going forward, the question is not for me, but who knows, tomorrow it might be. So I would really want to see something done about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. And like I said, we are working on it, and we're going to come up with something soon.
Yeah, money,
How are we gonna fix that problem?
money well spent though.
Yes, I totally agree. Any more questions? Going once, going twice?
Jeff, regarding the car wash area, Sibby informed the maintenance committee last week that as soon as the gates go up on the fences, then they can complete that work. They have all the equipment now that they need, but they can't complete that work until the gates go up. Okay? That should be the end of this month.
Okay. And you look absolutely amazing, by the way, Sarah. Okay.
All right, we're gonna bring Susie up. Look at that, she was waiting behind the curtain.
Okay, Debbie Downer, aka Jeff. Wow.
That was rough.
I don't even know what to say.
I know, I don't either, Susie.
I am sunshine on a rainy day. And you're gonna think so after I tell you all the good things that are coming up. Yes, ma'am. So, everybody ready for St. Patty's Day on Thursday? We've got a coffee bar, and if you prefer some liqueurs or Jameson whiskey,
Or just
in there.
Jameson, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Then you can have it. If you just want the whiskey, that's fine too. So we're doing a coffee bar with the Irish creamy dessert bars too, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a Bailey's brownie, and some other desserts as well. So it'll be
That's gonna be fun. So that actually is the start of this new stuff that we want to talk about. We've heard lots, we listened to your feedback, Teresa and Angie and I take a lot of time to listen to your comments, your feedback. Some of you send us emails, some of you stop by our offices, some of you call us, and you give us your feedback, and that's important for us to know. The communication is important as much as I kid about that. And what we've learned and figured out is that by your comments is that you like variety. And did y'all see the little blurb that we put in the weekly a couple weeks ago about varieties, the spice of life, and how we were going to mix things up a little bit? Did anybody read it? Please say yes.
I did.
Thank you, Teresa. And so that's because some of you have said, don't touch the wine, we love the wine, always have wine. And there's some of you that say, believe it or not, I don't want wine every time. Let's do some other kind of beverages in there. And then there's some that say, why do you have to do alcohol beverages every time? That's funny, and there's not too many of those. But there are a few of you that say that. So that really, that gave us the opportunity to look at some things that we can try to make everybody happy. So that's what we're doing. With the St. Patty's Day, it's not going to be used the normal liquor. It's going to be the coffee bar and some dessert, some Bailey brownies. Is that what you said? That sounds delicious. But of course, there will be a little bit of alcohol that you can pour in there or have a shot. Is that what they're called?
What?
Jameson whiskey.
I don't know, I drink it from the bottle, it's been around for years. But yes, Susie.
Okay, thank you.
For you, it would be a shot.
So that's an opportunity. So then we're going to do some other things too. We're going to have pop-up parties. that's going to be kind of fun. You won't know until a few days before the event, maybe a week, because we know that some of you are planners, so we'll give you about a week's notice. We're going to have some fun pop-up parties. Have any of you ever Googled on the internet the calendar for observances and holiday celebrations? Has anybody ever done that just to see that every single day of the year there's a celebration? How many of you have done that? Anybody know what today is?
Tuesday.
It's everything you thought was right is wrong day. I wanted to do a gift baskets giveaway today, but I couldn't figure out what that would be. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some of those fun celebrations and we're going to have pop-up parties. An example would be celebrating National Garden Month. We might have some special wines that day that are made out of, I wrote this down, wines that are made of out of lilac or dandelion. I'm sure there's some other ones as well. Oh, you like that? Good. So we'll do special things. On National Lemonade Day, we'll have some hard lemonade, and then we'll have some some soft lemonade. So you get where I'm going, right, with that? So I think it's all good. They're not going to be regular. Pop-up is pop-up. It's a surprise because you said you like variety. You said you don't like the same things that are. Now I know sometimes there are routine things, like we're going to continue our melodies and mixers. We'll always have those, and we'll always have music with that, and we'll always have the wines, and then we'll have another unalcoholic beverage. Is that a word? Non-alcohol beverage. But every time it might look a little bit different. Sometimes it might have music, sometimes it might not. Sometimes it might have decorations, sometimes it may not. So it's just something that you have asked for. You've asked for a little bit of variety, little bit of surprises to throw in there, and that's what we're going to do. Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, let's give it a try, right? It's your community, it's what you like, so let's try it this year. Let's try these pop-up parties, and if you don't like it, give us your feedback at the end of the year, and Teresa and Angie and I'll come up with something new and fresh for you then. But let's give it a whirl, okay? All right, last and final thing that I have today is I want you to save the date for me. If you already have it if you can put it in your phone or write it down or whatever. Our 30th anniversary is coming up, and of course we're going to have a lot of fun. What you expect. I will tell you that there will be a casino. Y'all love the casino. We'll do that again. We'll have a band out on the deck, on the whatever we're going to call the deck. It was the Libation Lounge last time. This time we don't know what we'll call it. But we'll have a little band out there. And then of course we'll have a dance floor, and because y'all like that little dance floor out there in the atrium. And then we'll have a dance band for you. We're not going to tell you the theme right now. We're still working on that. That's top secret. I'd have to kill you if I told you, so we won't go there. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and the date is July 21st. So write that down. We'll start putting some advertisement out about that soon, but keep that date in mind. And that's all I got. You got anything for me? Yes, ma'am.
Casino, is that real money we're gonna use, or this is fake money?
You can use real money. We're gonna do, it's kind of
I'd like
funny.
to be the dealer
because-
on that table for using real money.
Well, now I'm going to actually put you on the spot. So we're going to use fake money, but we're going to do some really cool door prizes this year. One of them is Teresa.
What? I haven't heard this.
Yeah, I know.
Fantastic.
One of the prizes is going to be a dinner, a special dinner, themed dinner of it for up to 8 people in the private dining room.
Yeah.
So won't that be really special? I know, and you're going to get the whole VIP treatment. The other one, I haven't talked to Angie about it, but I will. It's going to be a trip off campus. Yeah, a little trip. I haven't talked to her about that. So there'll be some really cool prizes, not just little gift baskets, although some of you love your gift baskets, so we'll do that as well. So we've got some real special things planned this year for anniversary. It makes me happy. Does it make you all happy?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, oh,
Thank you, Susie. It's always great to follow you. Now I get to be the Debbie Downer. No, I'm just kidding.
Just do the best that you can, Teresa.
Thank you. I brought Pamela with me today. Everybody knows Pamela, right? Great addition to our dining team. I brought her up for reinforcement. No, I'm just kidding.
Emotional support.
She's my emotional support director. So last month I got up and I was very happy to share with you that we had hired 3 new cooks, a sous chef and 2 cooks to the kitchen. Unfortunately, that did not pan out. We actually are in the exact same boat that we were in last month because we were not able to retain those cooks. They did not either follow up with the process, or we actually had one that started and only lasted like 3 days and then stopped showing up. You know, that is what happens across our portfolio, and we're seeing it in the hospitality industry. I actually got off the phone today. I was talking to Freedom Square, my counterpart there, Chris Carter, and then I was also talking to Regency about their staffing issues as well. Both of those communities are going through the same thing, but on the opposite end of the spectrum. We're able to retain front of the house servers. Pamela and her team has done a really great job, and we've heard multiple compliments from a lot of the residents on the caliber of training that we're providing to these servers and their ability to do what they need to do in the dining room. Now, the other campuses are unable to retain those servers and just even recruit and bring in, so they're unable to open their dining rooms to the capacity that we are, while in the back they have plenty of cooks. So we're all, like, everyone in management is moonlighting as partial, like, cook responsibilities as well. So for instance, yesterday, all of your salads that came out were compliments of Pamela and myself because we worked salad, which we will be doing pretty much every other day. They gave us off today so we can come up here and speak to you. And we got caught up yesterday. But what does this mean? This means that we need to really start looking at the reality of the situation in our staffing. We do not try to stay in the now. We're always looking ahead in dining and what we can provide and where we're going to be instead of where we're at. Unfortunately, it is not working for us with the staffing. We have looked at multiple avenues. We've actually also, Angie and I, Pamela and Mary, have met with an outside group to get contract labor for dining services. And we're thinking, well, this is great. It all sounds great in this meeting, but Pamela and I talked and we're like, well, how are they gonna find the staff if we haven't found them? Because we're interviewing everyone. And lo and behold, I got the email last week that said, hey, I have 2 cooks and a dishwasher that I'm interviewing. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Boy, they're really doing great. Then he emails back and says, well, they're not gonna drive to Sun City. They're closer to Bradenton. So I was able to push that over to our sister community in Bradenton, who is also struggling. So at least we're helping them out, right? But still no support here for Freedom Plaza. So going back and really talking to our team in the kitchen, talking to our front of the house team, and looking at what we're doing as a community. And when I get up here and I talk about all the things that we're doing in dining and how early we've opened and how we do have pretty much our dining room open with buffet, regular service, we have our grill open in some capacity. There are communities out there that are struggling and unable to do that and have deadlines for like the end of April just to open their dining rooms because they're unable. So we're in a good place, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we do have to look at, again, reality. There are some things that we are looking at to be able to continue on the same path that we're on because we do not want to close services. That's our main thing, that we're not closing services. But we need to alter what we're doing. Some things that we've looked at as a team, and we've talked in great detail on, Angie's been involved in it, my entire kitchen and front of the house staff, as well as my catering team, is one of the things was changing our menu a little bit. While we have a very robust menu, we have 3 daily selections, 1 weekly, and we have multiple always available. We are looking at to take some stress off the kitchen team is going down to just 2 daily entrees, but keeping everything else the same. Which means, for example, on let's take Friday, we have the tenderloin, we have shrimp, and we usually have a chicken dish. Well, our biggest sellers on Friday are always the tenderloin and the seafood or shrimp or whatnot. That chicken dish, we may do, 15, 20 orders, but we have multiple always available items. The item we would take off would be that chicken dish. So we would put our 2 most popular items on, keep salmon every day. We know we're not touching that, I know, you can see that. But by doing that, that's 1 less item that the kitchen has to prep. So what happens is because they're so short, instead of having enough of the crew to come up on the line at night, they're in the back still preparing for the next day and they're unable to get ahead. So that's one thing. That's one option that's on the table. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah.
How many are you in favor of that being a change that we need to make?
Well, let's talk the other option.
You like that? Okay. No, I'm gonna talk the other option. I just wanna see like where I'm at engaged. I got it. The other one is in-room dining pickup. So in-room dining pickup, we don't want to change the process because it works, right? We like it. You're going in, you can see the meal that you want. You like that. Okay, that's been a really positive change, which actually came from a sister community who's been doing it so for a long time. So that's why it's good to talk to our other communities. So right now we have in-room dining from 11 to 12 and 2 to 3. I'm sorry, 3 to 4. We are doing an average of 120 in-room dinings every day between those 2 times. The majority of the in-room dining is coming through at lunch versus the afternoon. If we could narrow it down to 1 time a day versus the 2, that would give the kitchen time to be able to prepare the items because they don't have to like set up the buffet twice and come out and service that buffet twice. So it would give them a good 4-hour period in the afternoon from like 12:30 to 4:15, 4:30, so then they can prep everything for the next day's meal. Right now what's happening is we have to put one of our cooks out there, or our leads or our stews out there to get the buffet ready, service on the buffet, and it's just very choppy, so they're not really able to get into their prep work. So what we're proposing is changing the in-room dining pickup just from, and we want to alter the time in the morning so we can get open on time for lunch, and we want to do like 10:45 to 11:45. We're still continuing to look at that. We looked at our numbers are really split. We get about 60 to 70 in the morning and about 40 in the afternoon. So the majority of our residents that would be impacted by this change, if we changed it from the morning to the afternoon, would be the morning crowd. So that's the second thing that we're proposing. What do you all think about that? How many of you are in favor of changing to 1 in-room dining change time a day? Not many. No? Huh? Couple? Okay. I mean, because if we don't make these small changes, then we have to change something large. Like, we have the grill open, and we're unable at this point to staff the grill with any additional support. We have been trying, and Pamela hires and interviews everyone. She vets everything that comes in, every single person. And we have just been unable to find for that position. So when we're looking at finding additional hands to prep items, like the grill team would be the next step. If we cannot alter any changes in the dining room, we would have to look at that team over there and say, well, are we really busy? What days are we really busy in the grill? We know we're busy for breakfast. Is it lunch every day, or can we bring them over to the kitchen? And we didn't want to do that because we want to keep all of our services open. This is not a way for us to take away from you an entree. If I'm taking away a 3rd entree, maybe we can beef up the other 2 entrees that are on the menu, which is what I've talked to Chef about. So we still have that money to spend. If we're not spending it on a 3rd item that we're not having to prepare, bring in, and then essentially waste because the 3rd item isn't selling that well anyway, there are things that we can do on the menu to enhance. We're still continuing to look for staff for both the grill, kitchen, and catering. We are, at this point, while we are open in catering, we are really doing resident-run events. Family members, we have a lot of family members that are coming in because there's been a lot of missed birthdays, anniversaries, and get-togethers in the past 2 years. So we're really, really busy with catering, and we're not going to say no to an event that's going to impact a positive way on our resident. And we're also doing our community outreach as well in our marketing events. So we do have to continue to staff that. The service team in the front of the house has been working out really well. Pamela in the last 2 weeks has added 9 servers to the floor. So it has been a little rough in the dining room. I think we can all agree with that. But there are a lot of new servers. So we're also seeing that impact in the kitchen. So your feedback is so important. We look for that feedback on the comment cards. We look for that on a daily basis so Pamela and her team can use that as a coaching guide for these new servers, because they're only going to be good if we know and we can hear from you as well, as she continues to follow up. So please be patient with our sweet pea servers. Sarah, I'll take that from you, while they learn the ropes. There are also a couple other things that we have going on. We have Seder Dinner. With all of that being said, we are still doing our Seder Dinner on the 15th of April. You can sign up and reserve through Touchtown. We have 60 seats available for that dinner. It is filling up, so I suggest that if you wanna get into that, it's a very, very nice dinner. Rose has been holding that dinner for over 20 years, so, and we're partnering with residents on that, so that'll be nice. We are also partnering with Regency, as I like to say, my arch nemesis, Ricky Baca, who is the director over there. We were at a task force meeting 2 weeks ago. Him and I are from our division. We've been picked to go to these task force quarterly, and we decided that we wanted to partner and do an event, and we're gonna do it at our Plaza Club. And it will be a limited time event, there's gonna be a small window of reservation. We will only have 40 residents from our community, 40 residents from Regency are gonna be bussed up, and it's going to be an enchanted evening. We are taking everything that Regency does well and everything that dining does, or that Freedom Plaza does well, which I think is more, but I'm just gonna prove that when he gets here, I'm just saying. And we're gonna do it at the Plaza Club. It's gonna be a wonderful evening. Some things that we've talked about is a full blown out dessert room with dessert martinis. We're gonna have entertainment. I hear that a chef may sing a little bit, so that's part of it. We're gonna have dancing and a 5 to 6 course meal. We are going to be talking next week through the logistics, and we will get more information out by the end of next week. The pricing for this is going to be according to market, because some of the items, it will be upwards probably of around, I would say, 85 to 95 per person, because of the quality of the meal that we will be serving. And of course, alcohol is included in that. We will do wine pairing and on top of that. So it's gonna be a nice event. We also have our Easter menu, which will be coming out soon. Chef has given that to me. We just need to, Pamela and I just need to make a few minor tweaks to it. And then Pamela, you're gonna be doing reservations?
Starting the 21st.
The 21st of March, we are gonna be starting Easter reservations on the Full Count portal. And I think that's it. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I just wanna, just tell everybody that we do have those 9 new servers. All of them are minors. I would say 90% of them, this is their first employment. Just be very kind while you can. They're still training. Even with the provider training, it still takes some of them a longer time to understand how things run. Of course, if there's something that usually you'll see Melly or myself going in through the dining room, please stop us. Please let us know if you're missing something. If you let me know right away who your server is, then I'll definitely be able to correct it right away. But please be kind so they can remain with us and we can be fully staffed. So that front of the house, fully staffed, is a blessing because we can help in the kitchen. So we definitely don't want to lose anybody in the front of the house. But thank you for everything.
Are there any questions for dining? Yes.
Beyond the happy chef, singing chef, I should say, the staff, her IRD, as we go through, they're terrific. They're really, really nice kids and look out for them. They are. Now, my real question is, what about supply chain, specifically milk?
So, do you want to talk about milk?
So there are supply chain issues. I expect from our Cisco truck the dairy to come in, but there has been a lot of supply issues specifically with PCs. You've probably seen like vanilla, not half and half, different things that have come in. It just has to do with supply and demand. Sometimes I've ordered things 5 times. They don't come in. We try to get like something that's different, but it should be here today. With that being said, the Cisco truck was in.
Is supply chain getting better or worse?
It's not budging, actually. So he's asking if supply chain is getting better or worse. So the situation that we have, for example, we order cauliflower, fresh cauliflower, or frozen cauliflower for soup. And they said send us breaded cauliflower, because now they're just saying, well, if it's cauliflower, this is what we're gonna give you. I know that's not the answer, but it's across the board. We have two major broadline distributors, Cheney Brothers and Cisco. We have a third, which is primarily meats and seafood, which is Halpern's. So with our meat and seafood, we have 3 to go by. By broadline, we really only have 2. So a lot of times it's us going to the store. Today I was late coming in because I needed to do a couple store pickups, and then I need to leave after this to go to do a couple more store pickups because things aren't coming in or being substituted out. The milk situation is really, we have 2 purveyors we can get milk through. So we can get it through Cisco and we can get it through Sunny Dairy. Sunny Dairy will come to us after they go and fill Walmart, and they may short us because they have filled Walmart because everyone is there. So then we're just, it depends on where we are on the route. Same thing with Cisco. It's like they want us to get our orders in where they give us a hard line cutoff, which is 3 o'clock the day before, but the earlier you get the order in, the earlier you get what you need. However, there are times when, we order 3 cases of tenderloin a week. So we know that we have to put in 5 cases of tenderloin because sometimes they're gonna cut us down to like 4 or 2. And we need to make sure we have enough tenderloin on hand, because if not, yours truly is gonna be at Sam's Club or Costco grabbing tenderloin, which is gonna be a higher price point than what we're getting through our distributors. And unfortunately, we're not seeing a break. If it's not one thing, it's another. And it's not like it's the entire item. I gave the example of cream cheese a couple months ago, where there's one component in cream cheese to make it like the form that it is, like the hardened form, but it was produced at one dairy factory for the entire United States. So that's why we were shorted on cream cheese during the holidays. Like coffee cup lids, same thing. So we can't keep up on a lot of the supply issues with the interim dining packaging. All restaurants, senior livings, wherever, everything has gone to like a takeout, so they just can't keep up with the demand. When we order, the big thing with soup cups was last week, you constantly are seeing different size soup cups. We just need a vessel at this point to put soup in, because we can't just pour it in your bag. Or put it in a cup that pours in your bag, right? So we are at the mercy of our distributors. So what we're doing is we are stocking and overstocking on some items. We used to live in and it was really nice in 2019 when you can live in a day and say, hey, I only have 1 case of this left, I'll just order it on Friday. But now it's like, oh, I only have 10 cases left, let's order another 10 because we don't know if they're gonna have it in stock. So unfortunately, and there's no rhyme or reason to it either,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Speaking of the stock stuff, what about, I see some people bring in their soup dishes, seeing them recycling their bags to help with that stock issue that you have. Can you hear okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So what about that as a solution?
So as far as the solution, one of the solutions that we have are the to-go containers that are the disposable, reusable, I'm sorry, not disposable, the reusable to-go containers, which is a 3-compartment clamshell, and then we also have the soup cups that go along with it. Quite a few of you do have them. If you can give me a raise of hand of how many have those containers, well, not that much in here. So, we maybe have like 20 or 30 of them out in the community. But we have over 500 residents. We have those available. So if you would like those, but again, that entails you washing them and bringing them back down for us to fill them up. So if that's not something that you're willing to do, I understand. That's why we'll always have the disposables available. If that's something you're interested in, please see Pamela. And if we get a huge influx of residents that are wanting to do that, it's usually like a 2-3 day turnaround on those. So we do have another community that solely uses those containers. Their entire community embraced it, and they wanted to reduce their carbon footprint. So while there is a cost associated with it, in the long run, it is better from a carbon footprint standpoint, and we always have containers. And the soup lids actually twist on, so their soup's not gonna flip around in your bag.
That might be something we want to broadcast.
We've put,
There's a lot of people,
Yeah.
I've seen them.
Okay.
I didn't know they were available. I didn't know, where to go,
Okay.
or whatever, so.
We can put that in the memo.
yeah, we can definitely put that in the memo and have 2 of those maybe in the buffet just to say if you're interested in these and put a sign just so we can definitely do that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of residents would go for that
Yeah.
and help with the supply chain issues.
Absolutely. Jeff, right behind you.
I have a comment and I have a question.
Yes.
To Pam's point, I have personally observed some very rude behavior by residents towards staff. Most recent one was screaming at a waiter because the food wasn't hot. That waiter has no responsibility for hot or cold. So I would ask all residents, be kind to these people. They're doing their best. They're young kids, and you can have a terrible impact on them. The question I have is, why does it take so long to get dinner out? I've sat for an hour, sometimes an hour, 15 minutes after I place my order. I just need to understand what's going on.
I mean, some of the things that we had talked about earlier is having the crew in the kitchen a very limited, we have a skeleton staff in the kitchen. So instead of having 3 to 4 on the line, pumping out the meals on a nightly basis, sometimes we only have 2, and then I'm your expediter. So, and sometimes that expediter has to go behind the line depending on call outs. So by us limiting or going down to 2 daily entrees, that's 1 less entree for them to prep. We are also looking at our composed salads as well, and what, we usually get pretty, adventurous with our composed salads. The baked potato or BLT baked potato salad, that stuff takes a long time to prepare. So if we can focus on that center plate, which is that protein in our service time, that would be very helpful until we can retain or hire some new cooks in.
So it's a staffing issue.
It is really staffing, yes. Yes, I have one up here.
You've talked about reducing the offering, that you have to try to compensate for some of these problems, which I think is not what we all bought in.
You gotta speak into the microphone.
Okay, not what we bought in for when we all signed up, but secondly, it sounds like one of your major problems that I didn't hear was how you're dealing with the staffing shortages, which is, I think, a major concern when it takes me like us 2 hours and 15 minutes last night from the time we sat down at 5:30 to get served and out the room. So,
Speak into the microphone.
say again,
You
please.
have to just talk into the microphone.
Okay, I'm sorry if you can't hear me.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm just not tilting it correctly, But the point is, seems like staffing is one of your major problems in addition to some of your normal supply chain. What is Freedom Plaza doing to attract the others? Are you sticking at the same cost that you're trying to meet, or is there a market out there that's available if you're willing to pay market prices, so to speak?
Teresa, I'll take that if you want me to.
Perfect.
So our staffing shortages aren't limited to dining. I talked a little bit earlier about nursing and our caregivers. They're probably the 2 most impacted at the community, but the labor shortages are nationwide. It's not specific to Freedom Plaza. It's not specific to senior living or any particular industry. What I will tell you is that we've been, and Teresa can attest, we've constantly been looking at our wages that we pay, not just in dining, but in other departments. Our owners, Health Peak, have been very generous in approving additional wage adjustments if we thought it was necessary to attract candidates for our open positions. I think one thing that, if I'm going to say, is more specific to Freedom Plaza than maybe some of our other sister communities, and we all have the same problems, but is geography, right? So Freedom Plaza is located sort of right in between Brandon and Bradenton, and unless you're finding candidates in Ruskin, Riverview, Waimama, folks don't want to drive here from Bradenton. They don't want to drive here from Tampa because they can find a job close to them there. So I think that's probably one thing that might be a little unique to Freedom Plaza as opposed to some other places. But to answer your question directly, yes, we've looked at and increased market wages. We use a website called Indeed, and if you haven't ever gone out and looked at Indeed on the internet, it is pretty much the place people go to look for a job. Just to give you some perspective, we spend $15,000 a month, give or take, on posting positions on Indeed, enhancing them, being able to do things like our HR department will go in and search how many cooks within a 25-mile radius of Freedom Plaza have posted their resume on Indeed looking for a job, and then we'll reach out to them. We don't wait for them to come to us when they see our ad. We're doing things like job fairs. We're using social media. We have a Facebook page, so you probably see, if you like our Facebook page, posts for different positions. We're actually sponsoring those posts, which means we pay for those posts to show up for anybody that has a Facebook feed in a certain geographic area versus just those who like our page or follow our page. Things that I'm too old for anymore, like TikTok, if you've ever heard that, Instagram, communities are getting out, and we're just starting to sort of get on that bandwagon and putting advertisements there. Also, people, younger folks anyway, I'm not there yet, but younger folks don't check their email. You know, where we used to send out email blasts to candidate lists, now you have to send text messages. So we are now in the process of signing an agreement with a company that will, give us text, like cell phone listings, so we can send out text message blasts. And Teresa can tell you, and I know some of the other department heads, we're basically interviewing via text message at this point. That is the only way you can get folks to communicate anymore. I talked to Jeff this morning, I talked to Sibby this morning, and I know Teresa and Pamela live it every day. You schedule 5 interviews, you're lucky if one person actually shows up for the interview. So we're doing really everything we can to fill these positions, because we know that you all feel the impact when we don't have folks to do what we need them to do. So that being said, just a little anecdotal story. As Pamela talked about the new servers and how they're all minors, my oldest nephew is going to be 16 in September, and talking to him is challenging sometimes, right? So you usually have to repeat the question 4 or 5 times till that deer in the headlight look goes away. And then you might get a grunt, that indicates yes or no. But the more and more you engage him in conversation, the more talkative he gets and the more willing he is to do what you're asking him to do. So I'm not making a generalization for all young folks. I'm sharing my experience. So sometimes you just have to learn how to get some of the younger folks to respond. But yes, we are working diligently to fill all of our open positions. Any other questions for Teresa and Pamela, or anything in general that we talked about today?
Teresa, you're looking for cooks. Do they have to have a degree for that? Like they went to maybe, like you're advertising for cooks. What is the qualification? So they have to have certain, not just experience, but did they go to school, culinary school, so that they can give us good meals? Or it's just experience?
So she was asking, what experience do the cooks have? Do they need to have a degree? Do they need to just have experience? So it depends on the position. For a frontline cook, at this point, we would take someone in that wanted to transfer out of another, career to come in, and we would train them. We have classically trained chefs in our kitchen, which is our executive chef, our sous chefs. But most of our cooks that we bring on are based on experience. We obviously, what we would love is for an experienced cook that's working at the Cheesecake Factory that's just tired of long nights and says, hey, I'd like to retire at Freedom Plaza and do some really great food and change menus every day because I really have a passion. That would be great. We're just not seeing that, and I don't know why, because everybody I talk to, when we do go out to dinner, I'm constantly giving my business card and I'm saying, if you want to come over to the good side, come work for me, because you won't be here that late. But yeah, so that it really depends on the position. So yes.
Teresa, when is the Enchanted Evening?
Oh, thank you. April 21st,
So Thursday night.
Thursday night.
And I would like to make an announcement. If you have moved into Freedom Plaza in the last 2 years and you live at GVT, I have a letter with your name on it and would like to give it to you. So before you leave today, if you would come up, I will find your letter and give it to you. And by the way, Angie, it was pretty obvious to me that you were our financial director for 12 years because you went through those finances without any notes, just like you knew what you were talking about. I was impressed.
I'm a good actress.
Yeah.
Comment. Thank you for bringing back the call.
The cod? Oh yeah, the cod was very popular last night, and it didn't smell fishy.
Any other questions?
Sitesman.
I just want to comment on the staff. About a week ago, about a week and a half ago, there was a young man. He was in his senior year of high school. He had been here just 2 weeks. He was so accommodating. He came, he tried so hard to make sure that everything was good. I talked to him, I asked him about his background, and I said, I'm going to report you. And he said, you're going to do what? I said, I'm going to report you to Teresa, and I'm going to compliment you. And I called her, I ran into Teresa, she took his name, and she says, I'm going to give him some points or something. And when you have these young people, say thank you. No, I don't want water, I want cranberry juice instead. Thank you so much. They appreciate, instead of, would you give me the cranberry and some of the, all of that stuff. But if you see a really nice young woman, girl, or boy, say thank you. Thank you, be nice. And if they give you extra, attention, give them some points and let Teresa or Tamara know. I think it's a very good idea, and that encourages them to stay.
Thank you. And I did mention, I think the last town hall meeting we do, it's called the Extraordinary Rewards Program. So anytime we get a nice letter about an employee or even just somebody stops by and says how great Mary or Susie did, we always give those employees points that they can redeem for all kinds of stuff on the online catalog.
I think, is this on? The thing that I think, maybe I didn't hear it, but did you mention anything about our Greg Lattimore coming to talk to us about our 927 precinct? I know you've been reading about it on announcements, but if you have ever missed hearing Greg Lattimore, you've missed a good guy. He comes and explains to you everything you need to know about voting. And it's a bipartisan group. We're not there to be Democrats or Republicans. We're there to be the 927 precinct, and that's who we belong to. And I just want to make sure you understand that it's going to be on the 21st on a Monday morning at 10 o'clock. And I hope you all come and listen to Greg.
Back to the dining rooms, I agree with the lady down here. I think if we all thought of the people who are waiting on you as your grandchild and how you would want church grandchild treated, and we treat them more like they're our grandchildren than like they're somebody that we can, you get a lot more honey with smiles.
Maybe that's why we're staffed in the front of the house, because most residents do, right?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day.